And now it's time for Mike's Spotlight on Industry Leaders.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Industry Leader Spotlight. We've got J.L. Carpenter. She is one of the top criminal defense attorneys here in Houston and in Austin and Galveston. We got a story that we're going to be talking about today that I think everyone should pay attention to. You know, there seems to be a lot of innocent people getting charged of crimes today. So we're going to talk about if you get charged with a crime, a DWI, an assault case, anything that's criminally associated. Did you know that we could be looking at 9 to 12 months to prosecute, to go through that whole process versus like a traffic ticket, 30 days? JL, what's happening?
Hey, good to see you.
You're going to have to help me understand this because I don't understand. Why does a criminal case take so much longer?
Well, it's a process, but you know, a lot of folks think, well, it's just like a traffic ticket. I'm just going to show up. If the cop doesn't show, I'm out of here. But it just does not work that way.
Well, I think when people get jailed, I mean, they're obviously shocked. They weren't practicing criminals. They probably have no criminal history. What exactly, when you first get to talk to them, what are they asking you and what are you telling them?
So it's one of the most traumatic experiences anyone can go through. And especially if you've never gone through it before, you're scared, you're nervous, you don't know what the future is going to hold, you don't know what the long-reaching ramifications. And if you're innocent, truly innocent, that's even scarier because how do you prove that you're innocent?
Well, exactly. And some of these things that we've been talking about are perfect examples. I mean, I would not be prepared for half of these things. You know, I have embedded your phone number in my memory. I know it better than my own now, just in case. So 9 to 12 months from the time you get put in jail.
So most people are able to make bond, especially these days. And, you know, let me go back and say, you know, the state has the burden of proof to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. We're innocent until proven guilty. But if you're going to have an effective defense, you have to come up with all the reasons to give the state why they should dismiss this case if you're innocent. And then other situations are mitigation. But it starts with you make bond, you hire a lawyer, and then the lawyer will request the state's discovery or the state evidence against you. And then it takes time for all of that to come in. The police give it to the state gives it to us. You know, if you're waiting for blood results, that could take months. And then after the defense gets all of the state's discovery and reviews it, then you have to subpoena records to fill in gaps. It could be CPS records, it could be divorce records, medical records. So it takes time to go through the process to get a case ready for disposition, whether that's we're setting it for trial, we're going to take a plea bargain, they're going to dismiss the case. It takes time. And we say 9 to 12 months, but I've had cases that lasted 4 years.
Wow. And one thing that you wanted to make a distinction of is that in a criminal case, deposits are required. So
in criminal cases, we typically, as a criminal bar, do retainer fees, like just a one-time retainer fee versus bill by the hour like a divorce attorney or a civil attorney, because we're constantly moving targets. We're not sitting behind a desk all day long billing by the hour. So it's our practice to bill a retainer. And then let's say a client says, you know what, I don't like the job you're doing for me, so I'm going to cut my losses and go somewhere else. Then you have to calculate all of your work at your hourly rate, which is in the contract.
Mm-hmm. So it's a different thing, and the most important thing, when in my mind, they pull you over, they put you in jail for whatever reason, or they come to your house and extract you and put you in jail, and you don't have a criminal attorney on speed dial. Are they trying to get you to accept a public defender versus encouraging you to hire somebody like yourself?
No, in fact, they encourage you to hire your own attorney because public defenders are typically paid by the tax folks, right? Mm-hmm. Taxpayer dollars. So, you know, they don't want to spend taxpayers' dollars if they don't have to. But it's hard if you don't have phone numbers memorized, right? So if you get arrested, who do you call if you don't have your cell phone with you?
J.L. Carpenter, 201 713-201-6767. 713-201-6767. Or find her online at jlcarpenterlaw.com. Memorize that, okay? So I want to talk about a couple of cases that you've been working on that have incredible results, obviously. 70-year-old woman, sweet as can be, gets pulled over for a DWI.
Correct.
And she's testing 0.09, which the legal limit is 0.008, right? So most people are going to say, oh, that's bullshit, But the reality is that's over the legal limit. That's prosecutable, right?
Right.
But you got this dismissed. So she's hands down cold stuck. How did you get that dismissed?
So what happened was she was leaving somewhere and she was sober when she left, but she decided to drink out of a bottle of vermouth, yuck, in her vehicle. And when she got pulled over, they saw the open container. She was elderly. She seemed a little disoriented and she seemed a little confused, but she was elderly. And so they arrested her and her blood came back at a 0.09 and the legal limit's 0.08. But we were able to show using a blood expert that when she was pulled over, she was still absorbing the alcohol she just drank before she was pulled over. So technically, legally, she was under a 0.08 at the time that she was operating a motor vehicle. And then while waiting to get her blood taken an hour and 15 minutes later, she was absorbing that alcohol, which pushed her over the legal limit.
That sounds perfectly logical to me.
Right? Dismissed.
Dismissed. Thank you very much. That's what you get when you have a smart attorney and great representation. All right, here's another. Now this one is cool. Okay, so a husband and wife trying to spice up their life. They're kind of trailing off. They're wanting to bring some excitement back into the old marriage, and they just started to get into choking. Right. Voluntarily.
Yes.
Choking. So the wife asked him to choke her to add some more excitement to the sex life, and he ends up getting arrested for a felony assault for choking. What the hell happened with that?
Oh, let me tell you, this was a lot of drama. This one was one of the longer ones because they were in the middle of a divorce, but then they decided maybe they would try to work it out for their family. And she had sent him text messages saying that this is what she wanted. He comes back in town from work. They drink too much. They're in the bedroom. He's doing what was requested. She's really intoxicated and she flips out. She calls the police. He gets arrested for felony choking.
Oh my God.
So after
felony choking. This is very key to the whole thing. What's the difference between felony choking and misdemeanor choking?
No, choking is a felony, but the difference is this is not just a misdemeanor family assault. It's now a felony because the allegation is choking.
I know, but what are the implications of being charged and convicted of felony choking?
Being a convicted felon or 2 to 10 years in the penitentiary.
Oh my God.
But so after he hired me, she started calling the office and emailing me, and she wanted to meet with me. And I hadn't had the state's discovery yet or the state's evidence. So I just didn't feel comfortable meeting with her yet. And so when I finally arranged for her to come here and meet with me in the office, she wanted to sign an affidavit of non-prosecution. And so I had my client on the phone. He was out of state working, and I had my office staff here, and she wanted me to disconnect from him. She closed our office door. She wanted to just be me and her. And then she showed me her text messages to him that said this is what she wanted. And so we printed those off and had those in our file. But then he decided after all this, hey, you know what? I want to call it quits. So he's going forward with the divorce. She's not happy. There's a protective order in place because that goes along with these types of cases. So he's not supposed to have any contact with her as a condition of bond. How do you go through a divorce when you can't contact the other person, right? And so they had some communications, and then they went to mediation. She wanted the house all to herself. Their negotiations broke down in mediation. So she took those communications right over to the police department and had a violation of protective order filed on him.
Oh my God.
So he got rearrested for that. And at that point, there definitely was no communications. And so in the end, they finalized the divorce. The original offer was like 5 years in the penitentiary for this corporate career man who had no priors. And I got a good prosecutor who saw it for what it was. And so he offered to reduce it to a misdemeanor family violence assault and dismissed the violation of protective order. And of course, he consulted with her first, and she was fine with that.
Wow. He was that close to going to jail for 5 years for the wife asking him to do it.
That's correct.
Oh
and
my God.
The text messages clearly showed she gave those to us, right? They weren't from my client. So I thought that was pretty powerful.
I think that there has been a paradigm shift in our society. I think it's more important we have a criminal attorney on speed dial than a general counsel.
Right.
We're not worrying about wills anymore. Now we're talking about, can you get me some cigarettes when I'm in the pen?
Right. Well, and that's going back to, the bonding process, because like I said, if you don't have someone to call, sometimes an officer will let you write down like 3 names and phone numbers to take into the jail with you so you can make bond. But recently I had someone come in and consult about a case that hadn't been filed yet. And the next thing I know, I'm getting an email from him, hey, the police are here. I'm being arrested right now. And so I have good relationships, and I sent a bondsman down to the jail to see him. And so that bondsman was able to make contact to somebody he knew, a friend who was able to make his bond. Otherwise, he had no way of calling anyone had I not sent that.
That is ridiculous.
Bondsman.
I mean, they want that bond money, so they ought to do everything they can to help you get that.
And thankfully, I have a good one. So,
I mean, I had a friend that was in jail, and I have all kinds of resources, including you, and it took us a day and a half to find her.
Right.
So, and that was just an interesting experience. So, JL, you are an awesome attorney, and I love doing these stories with you because there's never a dull moment. So, if you want to get a hold of JL, call her today at 713-201-6767. 713-201-6767. Find her online at jlcarpenterlaw.com, or you can find her on Facebook, Law Offices of JL Carpenter. But I guarantee you're not going to find better criminal defense representation anywhere on the planet. And that's including China.
Ha.
All right. Well, next time we got some more stories coming up, so stay tuned. But share this with people, because this is something that there's too many people that are going to jail that have no criminal histories. Please share this stuff just in case that happens to them. I've got 2 of my friends this happened to in the last month and a half. It makes no sense.
I know. Well, it's always fun, Mike.
Thank you, JL.
I wanted to be a voice for those that may not necessarily have a voice of their own. I practice law because I care about helping people get out of situations. And it's rewarding to help bring the truth to light for folks who are wrongfully accused. Sometimes I'll say, I represent the misunderstood.